You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We're live here at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com. Good evening, Tamara. How you doing?
I'm all right, Hal. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. We're gotten out of the deep freeze and we're getting into some warmer weather. We're seeing some plus temperature, so it's going to be, good
Here
stuff.
Too. Yeah.
Other than that, everything's moving right along.
Yep. I feel you. It was minus 37 here too, and then it went up to like 2 degrees. So it's melting here as well. So we got some snow, but we need the moisture. So I'm not sad about it. But it was cold.
Yeah, no, we do need the moisture. There's no doubt about that.
It was sure fucking with my arthritis though. I was in a flare. I'm still not. Still not.
I saw that your post online that you had gone through some dealing with some issues due to it. So
yeah. Still dealing with it. I'm still not feeling that great, but
no. Just quickly, your show is back on Cannabis and Coffee with Tamara. Your broadcast started this week.
I did. I came back on Monday at noon Mountain Standard Time, which is 2:00 Eastern Standard Time on the network here. And I didn't have a guest this time. I was going to do we talked a lot about cannabis taxation and where it's going. And next week I have a guest. I'm going to have Carl Braun on my show and talk about him and what he's got going on and how he thinks things should change, and starting that campaign about where's the plant money? Where are cannabis taxes going? I know that I didn't fight for legalization for it to go to law enforcement and to go to community safety units that are stealing medicine from patients. Like, that's not where we should be. So there's 75% of that taxation money that goes directly to the province, and they're screaming about healthcare and housing. So where's the money?
Where's the money going?
Right.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I seen that on the post that you did on Facebook. There's been quite a few people that have liked it. Getting anybody giving you a shout saying, "Hey, how do you want to handle with this?" Or
yeah. Well, Loretta Clark out in Montreal, of course, she's on board. And to be honest, I've been on TikTok and stuff, and I've got quite a few people that are been saying that they've been sending messages out, because that's what we need to do individually. Whether whether you're involved in the cannabis community or not, if you're a cannabis consumer, you should be asking your premiers where your taxation is going. Especially in British Columbia, we pay like 27% vape tax on one of these.
Oh, 27. What?
27%.
Is that on top of the regular taxes?
No, it's 7% PST, 5% GST, and then 20% vape.
Wow.
So the province is taking 27% because only the GST gets sent to the feds.
Yeah.
The PST goes to the province, and then the vape tax is on top in British Columbia, another 20%. So our province in British Columbia is taking 27% off every dollar of these vapes.
Holy smokes, eh? Boy, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
And then remind. Okay.
And what do they say? Why? What's the just like a sin tax and that's it? Are they using the money for anything?
It's PST, GST, and vape tax. They don't explain why. And then when you ask where the money's going, it's going to addiction. Okay, cannabis addiction and recovery, and community safety units. And I said, so you can steal patients' medicines that are using it for harm reduction.
Last I saw, there was
like.
Cannabis addiction was like a single digit thing. It wasn't anything of any.
I Googled stats on how many people are actually in recovery for addiction of cannabis. There isn't any.
Wow.
So why is blood, boiling my blood again? Talking about
So
blood,
yeah, that money's going it's collecting in the slush fund someplace.
right? And the alcohol tax, and the tobacco tax, and the lotto tax, and all these taxes that people have been paying just for recreation. Never mind the cannabis. Okay, cannabis is $2.8 billion on top of already tobacco, alcohol, and lottery. So where the fuck's the money?
Well, gotta make some phone calls.
That's
Write
exactly
some
what
letters.
to do, right? MLAs, because the MPs, this is not a federal issue. Again,
Right.
when Angus Reid just did their,
Especially if you're talking the provincial, so you can only reach out to the provincial end of things.
right. There were surveys that was done. Was watching on CBC News State that how many civics, right, on how many people know actual civics. Angus Reid just did a poll. 78% of Canadians don't have not a clue.
Oh, there's they don't even. I don't think they even teach it in school anymore.
Well,
I don't think civics is even a class. Like it
No,
was.
it is, because my son just finished taking social studies, and you'd be damned they do. They take it all. They teach them
Yeah.
7 and 8. You bet. And he took it all, and he's still taking it again this year on what exactly what levels of government, what they're used for. Again,
Right.
they teach it to them. It's whether you pay attention and actually learn it.
Yeah.
That's irrelevant. Again, where's the cannabis tax? Why is it going to law enforcement? Why do we have these ridiculous community safety units that are going in and ripping Ted Smith off?
Is it just additional money for law enforcement, or is it supposed to be saving taxpayers
No,
money?
we have that community safety unit,
Yeah,
right? Installed that goes in and with the RCMP. Besides the RCMP, they show up, right? And they take them out from Ted. They've taken it from Michelle and Doug Sikora. This is what they've done and pushed the medical dispensaries up. But if you look at the regulations on the BC website, it says that you can get a license to sell medical cannabis.
Oh, geez. Without going through the federal government?
I was reading it last. I was just like, what? Yeah, you can get license to sell medical cannabis. That's what Remo and Sandra have. They can distribute medical cannabis in British Columbia.
Yeah. I thought theirs was federal. I didn't think it was just a provincial thing.
It's provincial jurisdiction because the federal government is for part of it, for like the big part of the growing, right?
Yeah.
And it's not, because you have to apply again for a BC license as well as a federal license. So you have to get a Health Canada for your R&D license, and then you go to the province.
We'll have to have just a show on that. I can just tell, but we've got to go. We've got a guest. We got to get him in here. So
right?
I can see he's going, no. Okay, well, at this time, I'd like to welcome our guest, a man who is helping patients and is a patient himself. He's an entrepreneur, and he's sharing his experiences on helping other people's quality of life, and that's what his focus is. So we'd like to welcome Steve Mather to the Pace Radio Show. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention that, we need that tax money because those politicians all got to make sure they got their pensions, right? I'm pretty sure it's just funding those pensions.
Well, I was listening to my MP on the radio today, and he said that eggs were $10 a dozen. I'm going, what planet are you, Iron Fucker? I work in a store. They're $5.
Well, if you want organic, they can do it themselves.
$10 a dozen. No, we have farm eggs in our store for $6.50 a dozen.
We get free range chicken eggs for $4.
Yeah, so don't tell me there's $10 eggs, and not in the.
There is out here. If you want organic eggs in the store, they're $12.
Oh no, not over.
Wow, really?
I go to the farm guy too because $12 in the store is just. The no name butter is it was on sale yesterday for $6.39.
Oh, it's $8.99 out here.
The no name on sale. Seriously? I was buying it a year and a half ago for like $4.
Here's a trick for you. Get yourself some whipping cream, which is $3.49, and put it in your mixer and whip it up, and you got your own butter for $3.49 a pound.
Yeah. I kind of been in the dairy.
Oh, yay.
Here's
you just beat it up like butter, put it through the cheesecloth, and wham, bam, you got buttermilk and a pound of butter for $3.49.
Don't tell people that. Superstore will go bankrupt.
Well, but if you're making can of butter and you need that butter to make your baking, You gotta have it. So why not tell patients to save some cash?
I'm just kidding you.
Oh, yeah, I never made that whipped cream butter.
No, it's butter. I mean, no, like whipping cream, right? That you make whipping.
Yeah, whipping cream.
You don't add sugar to it. It's just fatty milk. It's just a 24% fat.
Oh, okay, I was thinking of a can of whipped cream.
No.
Ready whip. You know, this is what I think.
No.
That makes margarine.
No. Yeah.
Oh.
That's like stuff in the can. That's whippets, man. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's what I was saying. What the fuck? How you get butter with that?
No,
it's all
whipping cream.
fake stuff in that can. All right. Okay. Well, that was a good laugh. Now, Steve, I don't know, as most people, you know, I would assume, though, Steve is a host here on the network on the Mushy Moment, and he airs every Tuesday, 3:00 Eastern time, correct?
Yep. Noon in BC.
Noon in BC. Yeah. Steve and him and Rev Cindy, and they have guests and they talk about a bunch of different things, but we'll get into that during the broadcast. Because, like, I know that end about Steve, but I don't really know a lot of the other end about Steve as far as, you know, as far as what he was doing beforehand. You know, was he a fireman? Was he a tow truck operator? And, you know, maybe maybe he's got a funny story of the first time that he smoked doobies. I don't know. So let's find out. What do you think, Steve?
Funny times of smoking doobies, but the first time is just one of those ones. It's so far back in the you know, I got a lot of cobwebs to dust off back there. But I do remember the first time was a couple of my buddies. We got some weed and we had his little old brown Datsun, and you know, it's like, oh yeah, let's go. We're gonna you know, after school, because you don't want to get kicked out of school. And I don't know what was it? I don't know, grade. I don't even remember. And you know, we went to the school ground when it was dark, so people wouldn't see us. Went out in the middle of the schoolyard there, out in the grass, so you could see
in the grass.
You knew which way to run, and you could lay there if you got too high, because we had no idea what to expect. And you know, we started smoking the joint, and it was like, do you feel anything? Do you feel anything? Do you feel anything? I don't know. You know, and at that time, we're talking, we hadn't learned the ins and outs of you know, Colombian and Mexican weed yet. So, you know, we owned record albums, but we didn't know you're supposed to, like, let your weed run down and get all the seeds and shit out. It was, you just kind of crunch it all up and fit it into the rolling paper and roll it up. And so there was a lot of coughing. There's, you know, a lot of laughing.
Seeds
and
popping.
honestly, I don't remember much after that. You know, it's
no, I got high.
I don't think it worked.
Yeah, like what's his name sings there, and then I got high.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Now, because I've you know, I don't remember ever experiences those early days, but yeah, like thinking that you had to. Your mouth went so dry that you couldn't spit on the ground, and the fact that you couldn't create any saliva meant that you were really stoned.
The first time I ever saw a joint, my older brother, I had a brother 4 years older than me. One day he opened up a smoke pack. You know, to me, I was like, "You're smoking?" And he was like, "Not cigarettes, it's weed." I was like, "Why would you smoke weeds?" And he was like, "No, it's marijuana." And I was, I had no idea what the fuck it was. You know, he's trying to be all cool, and I'm like, okay. You know, it was quite a few years later when I discovered marijuana.
Yeah, exactly. Now, talking about discovering marijuana, like we all have our early experiences, but there's a time where we actually cannabis really, as time goes on, we find out that it is our medicine, and that it does things. Like for myself, I ended up with Crohn's and found out the benefits of that. Up until then, I was just getting stoned all the time, right? But as far as yourself,
Well, see, there's a couple ways of viewing that type of behavior. Because yes, I smoked a lot of pot, and I compared to a lot of people, I still do. I don't smoke probably half as much as I used to, honestly. And I've always smoked a lot of pot, but I toured with rock bands. There was the typical just using, but I knew that I was always a little more than most. And once I learned about PTSD and complex PTSD, which is long periods of time and repeated trauma, and I learned about the endocannabinoid system. Now it doesn't go, even back then I was a stoner getting stoned. When you view it from the point of the knowledge that I've gathered, and in dealing with a lot of other people that have suffered traumas, and most of them use a lot of cannabis or excess amounts, the endocannabinoid system is second only to our nervous system in our body. It's the second largest system. We've depleted it for at least 3 generations. It's not used in salads. It's not used in juicing. We're not taking the oils. We're not using the tinctures. We are now. It's coming back. But for 3 generations, it was vilified and not used. But our endocannabinoid system requires cannabinoids and activation. And some people have a good endocannabinoid system. Some people's are weaker. So, it's like a nervous system. They're all different for every individual. That's why you have some people, they smoke a joint, they end up with cannabinoid hypermesis. I can't. Yes, their endocannabinoid system is running good. They don't require any. And if it gets overloaded, it puts them in a different state, right? Everything has a duality purpose. But for those of us that grew up with trauma, if our central nervous system is running in hypervigilance, hyper-aware, hyper-mode, hypercortisone all of the time, does it not make sense that our endocannabinoid system would be being depleted and require more cannabinoids? Now, where the lie came in was we were always told this, smoke, even through all of the noise that went on about the revolution, smoke. That was a fucking program, because if you're smoking, you're minimizing the medical effect of that plant. Because when you take the whole plant and you use the extract, now the body's got a whole different ball game for healing. But they ran a program so that all people thought was smoke. So even when we started to get into it, it was about smoke. No, it's about use the fucking plant. Use the oils. Juice the plant. You get the acid forms as nutrition. That it's a massively magical plant that we've been taught that, it's stoners and they smoke it and they get stoned and look at the stoners. Well, it's a guy that's, been working with a lot of people that have had trauma. I see the exact same usage patterns as I had. And when we work with the trauma and the healing, I get the same kind of data. The endocannabinoid system required more cannabinoids. But the only way we knew to get them was this. Because I'll tell you, like I said at the beginning, I smoke less cannabis now, but I'm doing this. I'm taking the oil. And it's, as a healing tool, man, it's magic. Well, you guys know that. I know you know that.
Yeah. And being that you're consuming it, and especially there's some ways, no decarboxylation or suppository ways where you can consume it without, your milligrammage can go up, so you're not worrying about getting high.
Yes, with a bunch of the
bigger dose.
A lot of the cancer people that I talk with, you know, it's funny because it's hard to talk people into doing suppositories, but the current, you know, the current science that's coming out, 85% absorption rate, you don't get high. You know, my friend Gene, he's the only surviving survivor of liver cancer of 2019 here in BC. Everybody else that was in there, I believe there's 19 of them with him, they all ended up passing away. But he was doing, you know, 7 to 10 grams a day of the oil. Like we were up in the Kootenays growing, 250 show grows so that we could make the oil for him to keep going. And, you know, he's sleeping in a tent on the side of a mountain growing outdoor weed with the cancer in the same battles that the other people are, but he's the only guy alive. But he did 7 to 10 grams a day. Just
pound it to him, eh? Like,
but it worked. He's alive.
He's alive.
Right? So, you know, as much as a lot of people go, there's no science to it. There's a lot of survivors that are using it.
And it was a liver cancer?
Yes, he had the big chunk of his liver cut off, and it had to grow back for him.
Okay, all right.
So he was up there with it cut off while it was growing back. He was up there, I don't know, 3 weeks after his operation. Me and my buddy Dean went up and set up the greenhouses and got things ready. And when he came up, Dean had to go back to work, so he stayed up there. And you know, him and I spent the whole summer with forest fires and bears and some awesome stories there.
Yeah, so obviously you've gone from a person who just smoke, and then you've turned into a patient advocate where you're helping patients and, you know, helping them with education, knowledge, and access to products through a company that you've got going.
Yes. To begin with, like I did the helping people. I was in a news group in the early 2000s. And Rick Simpson was in that news group. And it was, you know, it was news groups where you're posting pictures. You're not posting up videos. You got to go know how to search into the news group to get in there. And he'd originally been posting stuff about the Nixon, the papers that Nixon had got on the drug wars had just come out 30 years, and a bunch of them had been released, and they've been put up without being redacted. And he was talking about how, you know, some of the stuff said that it looked like the stuff healed cancer. And then he got cancer. So he made the oil and he posted the pictures and he made his cancer go away. Well, my mom died of cancer, and she died way before that. So as I was watching that, I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. You got to be kidding me. And then being a guy involved in the music industry with lots of people who smoke weed. And at that time, nobody did anything with the scuff. They were harvesting buds and everything else was just going in the garbage. So I said, hey, how about you give that stuff to me and I'll try and make this oil and we'll try helping cancer patients. Yeah. So my original run on that starts in like 2003 or 2004. And
20 years ago.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen lots of miracles. I've been privy to miracles. You know, there's been lots of changes since then because, you know, when he healed his, and then people had to work on data and try and come up with data, and then it was like, well, a gram a day for, you know, you need 60 grams over 90 days, a gram a day for 60 days in there, and it'll take you 30 days to get up to a gram, and that did work for some people, you know, but some cancers are harder than others, some are worse than others.
You got it. All the same. All the cancers aren't the same, and all us humans aren't the same. So, you know, it's just like the doctor when they give you some pills, they say, "Let us know how they work."
With the beginning of your guys' story, you guys were talking about the how you guys said cannabis addiction. I believe it's called cannabis use disorder. But I was looking something up because I help people get off of other medications, or I give information. I won't say I help. People only help themselves, but I can give information. So one of the things I was doing is I help some people sometimes come off of things like trazodone, and you know,
trazodone is
cannabis oil. It's an serotonin antagonist reuptake inhibitor.
okay.
It's dopamine serotonin modulator in the brain, and it's something you don't really just stop taking if you've taken them, because it's something you need to detox or you should wean off of them. And so I went looking to see if any science had been done on utilizing cannabis oil to detox off of trazodone. Now, I know that combined with psilocybin, it is possible to do, and you know, you still have side effects coming off. They're none of the SSRIs, SARIs, or MOAs are easy to just come off. You'll still have side effects, but I'm looking up to go, have they done any research? And what I found actually blew my mind, because they have a trazodone prolonged release monotherapy for cannabis dependent patients that want to come off of cannabis. So if you feel you're dependent on cannabis, they can put you on 150 to 300 mil a day of trazodone. That look on your face, that's what I did, because I have a hard time comprehending this when I'm using the cannabis to get them off of the trazodone.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't make any sense. Make sense. Apparently,
there's actually, I'll hold it up.
Studies on that.
There's actually, that is a published study regarding it.
Oh my God.
And this one was trazodone prolonged release monotherapy in cannabis dependent patients during lockdown due to COVID-19 pandemic. So a whole bunch of people used extra cannabis during the pandemic because they were staying at home, and then they felt they were using too much. So when they went to the doctors, there was a whole, like, this is actually, it's at the PubMed.
What else is it prescribed for? Like, what are they, like, the people that you're helping get off of it? What do they have it prescribed for? Like, what do they prescribe that for?
It's usually an anxiety, but the hassle with a lot of these medications is the side label. So one of the people I'm dealing with right now, all it was a sleep med. So they were getting 50 mil to use as a sleep med at night. Another person I know was getting 150 a day for anxiety. The 50 mil is easier to detox off, but truly it's still causing headaches, nausea, stomach issues, you know, and that's utilizing a good dose of cannabis oil, both a 1-to-1, the CBD and the THC, and high dose of the psilocybin with some nervine nerve chill to bring things down. And it's still a fight.
Yeah.
Wow. Jeez. Yeah.
I can't even imagine, like in here, it actually says 150 to 300. All cases with cannabis use disorder were uniformly treated with long-acting trazodone, 150 milligram or 300 milligrams per day.
Wow.
Wow. Jeez.
I don't know. I know a lot of people that use cannabis. I know that if you use lots of cannabis and you stop, yes, you're going to have a harsh time trying to sleep the first little while, and you'll probably have some wild dreams, and you're going to get ornery and snippety, and, you know, you better let people know, because you're going to do that for, you know, for me, I don't think I've ever lasted more than 4 days on the detox aspect, because I have detoxed myself, because of course I'll get challenged. So if I get challenged, it's like, yeah, okay, here, let's see how long we can go then.
I detox when I'm hospitalized.
I haven't in years, because I've really, in 2016, after years of being medicated for behaviors, right? ADD, ADHD, borderline personality disorder. At the time when I was young, it wasn't called bipolar. It was manic depressive. You know, I come into this world in a rough birth, and I come into a rough life, which causes PTSD from my birth on. So some of my behaviors are programmed at an early age.
Can I just stop you there? We'll get into that when we come back from break.
Sure.
All right. Okie dokie. Sounds good. Off to break we go. When we return, we'll continue our discussion with Steve Mather, and we'll get more of his personal story when we do that. But before we go to break, we're going to do a little promo, and then we'll see you after the break time.
Announcing CBGTV's Bud Break book. Get your copy now. Detailed strain reviews. Every purchase supports the ongoing efforts of CBGTV. Available from Amazon and at cbgtv.com or scan the QR code.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBGTV, broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
And you're watching the Pace Radio Show, and we are joined with our guest, Steve Mather. Well, Steve, before the break, you were just talking about getting started in life. It started out rough for you. So you shall continue.
Yes. With when I say, because I was born into a traumatic birth. So what happens is automatically the brain, when a person experiences a life-changing trauma, it changes the way the brain works. You no longer work from a place of action. You work from a place of reaction. And you work from a place of being hypervigilant. Because of what happened with my birth, and then because of my older brother's behaviors, my older brother had a different father. By the time my brother was 4, him and my mother had been beaten up multiple times by this guy. So his understanding of love and his understanding of being a man had a little bit of a different flavor than mine. My father is the guy that beat that father up and said if he ever touched them again, he'd kill him. So, there's a little weirdness that happens there. And my brother grows up believing that if it doesn't come with one of these or some harsh words, it can't be love. And he has his own trauma program, right?
Yes.
So I learned that I have to modify my behaviors to keep myself safe. And in the modifications of behaviors, if you're suppressing who you actually are and you're creating a false avatar, whatever you're suppressing will leak out, be it through behaviors or diseases, or, if you're not letting things flow, it'll cause problems. And what ended up happening was mine was behavioral problems, right? And what you'll find is if you look up CPTSD and pretty much any of those other ones, any of them, borderline personality disorder, ADHD, ADD, bipolar, and you type in crossover, you will find there's a huge pile of crossover behaviors. And then there's a few that distinguish the difference of ADHD from PTSD. But if the doctors only asked 5 or 6 and they're all in the middle and they don't know anything about trauma, you're going to get meds for the other disorder.
Yeah.
So myself, I was medicated my whole life because every time it was wrong, it had to be one of those other disorders because of behaviors. But
trial and error.
Trial and error. And you'll mimic all of the behaviors over time. So for me, I hit a point where I just went, I'm done. No more medicating. I'm not doing any more meds. I was still using cannabis, and I'd already learned about the oil by then. So I was using oil and doing whatnot. My psychedelics use at that point, I'd experimented. I'd modified a product called Scooby Snack. The thought I created this great one, found out I just actually modified. But it worked for me. And I didn't take it like my other friends where they were popping 5 of them and going, man, what an incredible ride. I was just like, wow, I do one and man, my day's beautiful. And a few hours later, I'll do another one. And all of that stuff. I don't, at the time, I couldn't tell you what the stuff is. But the stuff is brain noise. It just quiets the brain noise. And all of a sudden, a different reality would appear. So I had those going for quite a while without actually knowing anything about product.
It calmed things down.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like when you talk about the noise, your mind's just going 100 miles an hour. And then this helped calm things down.
Yeah.
And made you so you could focus. So it sounds like.
Well, a little more focus. I still got a lot of squirrel.
Oh yeah.
But I am so far ahead of where I was. Like in 2016, I was going to a place called Change Pain. It's a full modality pain clinic because my back had seized up, and they told me, this was the 3rd time I was told I'll never walk without a walking device. And
Really?
I was seized up bad. And we found later it's all been psychosomatic trauma pain. But, while I was going through that program, and they got a lot of the muscle happening, and I was able to walk on my own, and we were progressing. They sent me in with a psychiatrist. She got 4 visits with a psychiatrist. And it was, a few people in there with the visit. It wasn't one-on-one. And she talked about a situation. And I said, oh, so would that be similar to like if you got gang jumped and you got shit kicked, and then you kind of are hesitant on going out anymore? Mm-hmm. And she goes, well, that's, yeah, that would be. That's kind of something that would only really happen once. And I went, well, no, I've been gang jumped twice, and I was, in a place where a Hell's Angels collector mistook me for somebody and just pa 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 pa. Wow. And I was in a restaurant with a guy when another guy just walked up, booted him in the face, kicked him right out of his chair. When I stood up, he just sucker punched me, and a brawl was on. And right. And she goes, oh no, that would be PTSD. First time I ever heard those letters, 2016. I go, what's that? She goes, post-traumatic stress disorder. Changes my world. I know how to read.
Yeah,
one thing I live by is know your enemy. Learn everything you can. If you can turn your enemy into a friend, you don't have enemies anymore. So, I went on a thing to heal and study, and I had an appointment. I went to my doc and I said, I need an appointment with a psychiatrist. I need them to tell me whether or not I have PTSD. I need to know. And I finally got my appointment. Took months. And I finally got in there, and I'm sitting with this psychiatrist, and we go through everything, and we're talking about my past. And she goes, oh, actually, yours is complex PTSD, which is multiple episodes over a long period. And I said, great. What do we do?
Yeah.
And she said, well, I'm a psychiatrist, and you came in here saying you don't want to do medication, but that's what I do is I prescribe medication. So I was like, okay, well, if we discuss medication, what would I be looking at? Well, all the same shit that I've been on my whole life that hadn't worked anyway. And now they can prescribe you meds. You can have medically assisted induced dying. That'll help. That'll make you feel better.
You can get that easier than psilocybin.
That's brilliant and true.
But the fact that we've got the ability to use it if we want to, because I'm telling you, if I was ahead in a bed, I'd be applying for that faster than fucking your head would spin, because I don't want to be a burden on no one.
You know what? I agree. There's a place for it.
You know what I mean? Like, why would we not be humane to our? Yeah. So I'm sorry. There's a lot of misconception and misinformation about that program, but I'm telling you, that's a program that we should be very grateful.
Well, I'm glad it's there. I don't want to.
I wasn't grateful.
Yeah, same here.
I say I wasn't grateful. That's for sure.
But
I don't think it should be in the first things coming out of a doctor's mouth when he's telling me.
That's an unethical doctor. That's on the doctor. It's an unethical doctor. That shouldn't be something that should be. But again, you're dealing with people with mental health issues too. A lot of times, that you don't know what to say as a doctor, as a friend, as anything. So you know what I mean? Like that's a difficult line to walk. But yeah, I mean.
Yeah, but they should. If a patient wants access to psilocybin to help with a medical condition,
sign them up like in
right. They should have easier access to that versus
forever, right? It should always be the first line of defense instead of the last action, right? Like even with Allison trying to get whatever for her, it's like, but you can get psilocybin in Canada if you're terminal.
But it's still easier to get me.
It's a pretty brutal fight. I know somebody that just got accepted, and she's been fighting for 3 years.
Right, but again, it's getting. We have to keep bringing it. It's no different than cannabis. How long do we fight for?
That's true.
So I mean, the fact that cannabis has been recreationally legalized, and we've had medical cannabis since 2000, and they're actually allowing people to use psilocybin at end of life right now. I think psilocybin's actually probably 20 years ahead of where cannabis was when it comes to actual getting to the point of seeing the medical benefits of it.
The speed of being used.
Recognized and the speed of the education being put out there so people can use it. I think we're 20 years ahead with psilocybin than we were with cannabis. 20 years ahead. For sure.
Easily, because they've already predicted it's an $8 billion industry within the next 3 years. And that's strictly off of the stock markets. Because they've already worked on the companies to synthesize it all and patent it all, and they're already handing out all the patents. You bet your ass they're going to make that happen a lot faster than cannabis.
Oh yeah. Because
I'm not even saying. I'm not even looking at that side of it. That was not my point. My point was like the fact that the research is being done to prove, so they can get away with putting it on the stock market. I guess you know what I mean. Like,
well, there is all kinds of research. We report on that every week on the news.
Yeah. And there's still not a lot of research being done on cannabis yet. Psilocybin's being, at least, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, don't kid yourself. There's lots of research being done on cannabis. I can flood you with probably 400 different studies that show nothing but how they work on healing the immune system and cure cancer. They're doing the studies. People just don't know how to find most of them.
Including the government.
Interesting.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, our government will not recognize any study done by another government. No more than any, government's going to recognize ours. That's ridiculous.
It's all just money games.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to your story that you were diagnosed with the PTSD, and having that knowledge allows you to start looking into all that. Now, is that what brought you to the psychedelic?
I started researching, and more than I'm familiar with all the meds, or most of the meds. I was on most of them. So, it's like, well, I know what I'm in for there. What else is there? And at the time, what I found was there was a bunch of people that were taking the data from the Silicon Valley programmers that were using microdoses and psilocybin with adaptogens and nootropics to get their brains extra on top of things, so that it would put them into a hypervigilant, hyper-aware state, but with a compressed cognitive aspect of the lizard brain or the amygdala. That's compressed so that you're not spiking down or up, and you've got these other adaptogens that just give you clarity and focus. Guys were looking, how can I be the fastest guy to become a billionaire in the Silicon Valley? And there was a lot of brains down there, and they went through a lot of the different. Thanks to them, they told me which adaptogens and nootropics I needed to research for what I was looking for to do with my brain, right? Mm-hmm. The aspect of what I was looking for to heal with my brain. I'm not just PTSD. Like I said, I've been gang jumped and beat up by a guy. I've had a chair smashed over my head, boots laid to my head. I'm multiple concussion too. I'm post-concussion syndrome. But when you look at healing the brain and healing pathways in the brain, honestly, it doesn't matter whether it's a stroke or a concussion, or whether it's coming from PTSD of the blowing out of the neurochannels. It's just pathways in the brain that have been damaged. Mm-hmm. And the brain has everything it needs to either heal that up or bypass all the damaged channels and use new ones. But we have to, one, let it know that's what it needs to do. And we need to put the right nutrients in that open the locks that give the brain the ability to do it. It has the ability. It needs the tools. And for us, healing tools are ingredients. Lion's mane mushroom. When you look at the research done on lion's mane, when I first was using lion's mane, they didn't know, they hadn't done the science yet to find out, or they hadn't released the science yet anyway, that it also healed the telomeres on the end of nerve endings. But just the fact that it could heal brain tissue and nerve endings, that changed everything in the medical industry, even though it doesn't make headlines, because prior to that, they would say, you can't really heal brain tissue. Nerve endings only heal real small, and brain tissue doesn't heal. Well, no, our science was just behind in how things really are. But, as soon as I learned, lion's mane heals brain tissue, nerves, and nerve endings. Well, that needs to go in there because that's, you have a whole bunch of electrical wires in a wet sponge that something's gone in and blown a section of the wires out. So there's some shorts, there's feedback loops. That noise that I talk about, that's feedback loops. That's neuronal data that's been on a pathway that hits a dead end and loops. And it keeps coming back. And the more stuff that hits that dead end and loops, the more noise comes along. And if you put yourself into a trauma mode, or you have a PTSD episode, or you take yourself to a point where you're physically feeling the moment that happened, you will actually blow out more pathways. You have more you have to heal. So the loops create more damage. So in my world, I was going down there going, okay, what if these guys found that? And I don't believe people. So I get the data, and then I go look for the studies. Which one of you mothers is lying to me, and which actually works? And I have to say, I found some things that actually worked incredibly for me that my friend John made sure that we share with other people.
Oh, good.
My goal was never to create a company. My goal was to get myself out of my... One thing I learned a long time ago, I'm the only guy that heals me. 3 times doctors have said, you'll never walk without a walking device. 3 times I listened to my opinion. Yes, I will. What do I need to do it?
Yeah, and obviously you got yourself educated. You learned about all these different things and natural supplements that could help. I'm going to say probably connect those pathways that you talked about that have been damaged.
Yeah, the microdoses. My first batch of the microdoses, the original blend, is a 7 blend of mushrooms, and because at that point when I'm doing all my research, when I'm doing it focused, it's focused on published studies regarding a certain mushroom, either in the English form or the Latin form, and published studies or peer-reviewed studies and neuro or brain, because they'll all bring up different studies. So, through that, you'll probably come up with about 40 studies. So you got to kind of go through and find out what was going on. What was the motivation for the study? Because sometimes the motivation is just because they've got a drug. So you got to kind of take into account data fudging on some of the studies as well. And you want to get to the conclusions of, was it showing the signs of getting things to where I wanted to go? That's what I was looking for. And then I was already familiar with some of the adaptogens and nootropics because of the original Scooby snacks. And my guru buddy that just knows all that crap. And all that crap. It's intense information, but and it was, what do we have that can give extra calm while giving extra clarity, while giving focus and mental energy, but not physical energy, because I don't want to feel like I got anxiety. And what can I put in there that smooths that part of what I don't like about mushrooms? So that's kind of, that first blend has got a bunch of that.
Right.
As I keep going.
And you mentioned 7 mushrooms now, and none of those 7 mushrooms are a psychedelic as far as... No, that was the reishi, chaga, cordyceps, lion's mane, maitake, shiitake. And one other one. It's escaping me at the moment. Okay.
Hang on.
Nope. I got it here somewhere.
Turkey tail. How could I forget turkey tail? The one that Paul Stamets used to get rid of his mother's breast cancer. That's the one I forget. But no, it's in there. Yeah. So,
one that does something like that.
This was originally the mushroom blend that was in the capsules. As I kept researching, I realized, oh, because like everybody else, I didn't know much about those mushrooms. So as I kept researching, it's like, well, no, I want to have more of those mushrooms. And the only one I really need to dose or microdose is the psilocybin. So what I did is I created one. It's called Main Event, and it's heavier with lion's mane. So you get the lion's mane, and you get more nootropics and adaptogens. I don't have it here. What I mean by adaptogens and nootropics is there's things like niacin, magnesium L-threonate. Both of those are known to take psilocybin over the blood-brain barrier as well, because they cross the blood-brain barrier.
Okay.
Also, the niacin helps the body flush more. Everybody's magnesium deficient, that our whole society is, and that's a good form of it. So, I went, yep, that's going in there. And then the L-theanine, which is a nice calmer and a stomach calmer. So it takes away some of that fat that you get from psilocybin sometimes, right? And then there's some of the would have become standards now, like the ashwagandha and the ginkgo biloba, the Siberian ginseng, that type of stuff. Again, all calm, clarity, focus, a little bit of energy. It was it. And then I went, I can put the mushrooms in another bag, throw spoonfuls of them into my coffee, and just take those any way I want while I use this other capsule as a microdose.
Right.
The space in here that these were taken up can use stuff that'll better serve healing the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And
these are all natural mushrooms. Yeah.
Well, the funny part about this was because I was helping cancer patients, I went, well, if they help the brain, what do they do for cancer? And if you take the words brain and neuro out of those searches and you put in cancer or the type of cancer, you watch how many published studies coming up that say, kill tumors, kill cancer, reduce this. Wow. It is stupid. This stuff is magic.
Just,
Originally, it was just the 7 mushrooms, and I had added rhodiola as a little calmer. Because again, I made it for me. I didn't make it for everybody else. I made it for me.
And you found something that worked for you, and you're.
It's my buddy John. He goes, you don't get to keep that, man. You have to share that. You can be the test module, but if it works, you don't get to keep it. But with this one, it ended up having a change because I was watching a podcast and the guy was on there talking about how he'd been vaccine injured and his father had died from one of the COVID vaccine shots, and he was a doctor and he was vaccine injured. And the podcaster was asking him about how he fixed his injury, and he talked about different substances he'd done and the things you're not allowed to talk about. And then he said, one thing a lot of people don't know is that cacao generates stem cell growth. And he said, after 50, most people's stem cell generation drops. And for some people, it'll drop to even in half. And he said, 4 to 5 glasses of raw organic cacao a week can double your stem cell growth. And I thought to myself, you're a fucking liar. Honestly, that's the first thing that went through my head. Because I thought, with all of the research I've done and all of the channels I've gone down, there's no way I won't know that if it's true. There's now raw organic cacao in here. And I owe the man an apology because he isn't a liar. And all of the documentation and science is there. And if you don't know how to search for it, you won't find it. But it is amazing. So not only does it have the 7 mushrooms in there to help modulate the immune system, which once the immune system's strong, it puts the body into healing mode. When you add cannabis oil so that you activate the CB receptors, and CB2 is imperative for the body to go into healing homeostasis, imperative. So when you add that and you get the receptors flipped so the body's going into healing homeostasis, and then you give it some of the highest blends of polysaccharides and beta-glucans and a stem cell regenerator, it's magic. It's magic.
It works. It works. Yeah. It's good. It's good stuff to put into you. It's none of this toxin stuff that we get these days.
Well, one of the really cool things
I want to get into more of your products after the break.
Oh, are we at that break time? Have I babbled that long already?
already. Yeah.
I babble, eh? Okay.
Okay. When we return, Tamara and I will continue our discussion with our guest, Steve Mather, and we'll get into some of these mushroom stories and things and the way that they can help you improve the quality of your life. But first, a little promo, and then we'll get into the commercial.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Let's share Pace everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Pace Radio is the people advocating cannabis education radio network.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Welcome back. We're into our third segment. Got our first hour over with, and we're into the last bit. But something tells me that I think this conversation could go on for a lot longer than 30 minutes. But we may have to have you back. I'll say that already, because I just know we're not going to get it all done. And I'm going to move you. There we go. I'll put you back down there bottom. I don't know why that doesn't normally do that. Move us around during the breaks. I don't know why. Yeah. See, that's okay, so during the last segment, before we went to break, you were talking about a product and package and everything that you have there. That is a product that you make available through a company you and your friend have set up called At Ease.
Yes. Yep, and I've got it actually underneath my name on the thing there.
Right.
But at-ease.com.
Yes. Now, these products, I'm just going to bring it up here on the screen. All right. Click, 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 click. I got this message just getting in my way, but there you go. These are your products here. This is your website. Come on, Windows.
The website's a nightmare right now. My apologies to everybody. We're about to redesign and revamp.
Okay, well, I've got like questions here. There's this product here, for example, it says Clear Brain. Okay, and what I want to do is show people what is in some of these products that you've got. I don't think I can blow this picture up, or can I? There we go.
Yeah, look at there. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Red sage, pomegranate peel. Is that skull cap?
Yep, skull cap, Oregon grapefruit, green tea extract, curcumin.
Yeah.
It's all nutritional supplementation, but it's not really stuff that most people would look at. But each of those is a little key. Like if you check on there, it basically talks at the beginning up there. It talks about how it protects against neurodegeneration and protects certain pathogenic pathways and brain dysfunctions. It's also from long COVID. A lot of people that have had long COVID or spike protein damage with the brain, they call it brain fog. Oh, I got lots of brain fog, lots of brain fog. Well, this particular product is designed to fix that. And if you actually, look up, you can go to COVID-19 and type in the ingredient and go publish study. You're going to find information on pretty much every little ingredient in any of those things. The Inflammaclear, that was the one I was going to say that Tamara might want to. I might have to send her a pack or two of that and let her try that, because that stuff is absolutely incredible magic for inflammation. I honestly, I'm not going to toot my horn here, because these aren't mine. This is my guru guy that before I ever made anything, I would always consult him. And he just kind of, when I started back helping cancer patients and immune system people, I reached out and I said, "Hey man, I need a little help. I'm in here deeper than I'm prepared to be. And I already had my products and my time is already being eaten up helping people." And I said, "Can you come up with stuff that can help and fit in the holes that, and I'd fit them specific, diseases as well."
Right.
And, a lot of this stuff originally was created because he had two family members that were vaccine injured as well. So he's got one called V-Spike block, which is better than the what do you call it? The doctor's brigade that's selling their spike protein repair. This one's more in depth and better than even that one is. They haven't got all the data. There's a lot of data coming out of Israel and Spain that isn't in North America yet on how to repair some of the damage.
Like like the stuff that some of these things that ingredients that you've put into these packages. I looked up particular ingredients like that Inflammaclear, and the products that were in there. Their benefits were almost everything that I looked at was for helping with inflammation of some kind.
Yes. And that's why the stuff works like magic. The Super C Veg there, that one's a monster. I that's a thyroid fixer. And I know there's so many, especially women, have issues with thyroid. This one here, get on this stuff, take it regular, make sure you're taking we've got a greens and a berries. We recommend going with the three if you want to really slot in, because they're all designed to go with each other. But this is going to get your iodine content up to par with the proper iodine. The body knows how to assimilate and use properly because it's out of the seaweed that we eat. The things that are put in there. I honestly, I can't say enough about them. I promote these because I get lots of emails and lots of response back that is just thank you. You've changed my life. I'm able to do this. I'm able to do that. And man, I'm excited about this stuff because I get to witness miracles. Seriously, I get to witness miracles.
Ultimate greens. There's a lot of people out there that don't like greens. They always say, eat your greens. Eat your greens. If you don't like to eat your greens, because you don't like kale like myself, these pills, these capsules have got all that in one capsule. Like it's got
and like things like andrographis and nettle. Nettle is a superpower. Like that one, if people mow it down out here and throw it in their compost, they have no idea what they've got. But when you look up the magic of what it has, and with these, if you take 5 of the greens, 5 of the berries, and 4 of that super sea veg, if you take that in a day, you have more nutrients than most people's week.
Wow.
Right. So when people are battling cancer, I go, because a lot of people, we meet people where they are. So if they're doing chemo and radiation, when they get beat down, which they will, we go, take these, just 5, 5, and 4. If you got to do 1 and take a bit of water and wait a while, it doesn't matter. Just get them down, because at least you're getting your nutritional content. Exactly. This was the original version of the Super 7. That's right, that one. Here, I've changed it. Is this one? Oh yeah, I put the cacao in at that point. So that's the last version of that label when I've added the cacao.
Yeah. So take a teaspoon in your coffee, just a teaspoon in your coffee, smoothie, or whatever, eh?
Yep. I do a lot more. I do 3 or 4 of them a day myself. It's seriously, I've cut my coffee consumption down to about 1/4, and that consumption has gone way up.
Nice. Yeah, there's there's
quite a gamut of stuff. The Glute Force is for rebuilding glutathione, which is, glutathione is so needed to fight so much disease in the body. And our immune systems our gut biomes and immune systems have been decimated. I wouldn't hesitate to say 80% of people in Canada have leaky gut syndrome. And it's because we eat GMO garbage. It has glyphosates in it. We're sorry, but we put way too much junk into our system. And part of the reasoning of there's an over epidemic of leaky gut, one is 80% of the people that I'm helping that start to heal, I put them on the leaky gut repair. And as soon as it repairs, then the healing can begin. But if you look in the hospital system, there's an epidemic of sepsis. And, sepsis is, what is sepsis? It's the body going septic. What is it septic from? Stuff from the guts leaking into the body.
Yeah. I had a friend pass away from it while in the hospital. I see here evening blend. So this is something that somebody will be taking obviously before they go to sleep, and it's got a whole list of.
Some of the other, like the other microdoses, are more of a daytime because they've got the Siberian ginseng and stuff in there that gives you a little bit of physical energy as well. And I didn't have a problem sleeping on those ones, but John did. So
Yeah.
John said, hey, can you put something together that might help me sleep a little better? So I put this one together, which is really nice for it. I actually quite enjoy it. And it's actually really good for, like, it's a great daytime extra calmer one as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's
so would this be
it's got
something that
GABA, you know, it's got a couple other things in there. It's got the turkey tail, the shiitake, it's got ashwagandha, but it's got the magnesium as well. You know, so you get the spirulina, the GABA, and the magnesium, which kind of just bring you into the nice calm. The rhodiola it gives you a mental energy, but a calm body.
Yeah.
So,
See, what
Tamara,
is going on?
what made you want to do the thing on cannabis? Like, what made you even think about that? I'm like, that's so fucking brilliant. There's so much money brought in there, and you know, it's like, my God, I've never heard anybody ask that, but it's brilliant.
The fact that I was part of Normal Women's Alliance to begin with, so we actually pushed the Liberal government to make the policy to get it to where it's staged where the Cannabis Act was actually introduced. So I've been involved with this for a very long time, and I'm looking at the fact that we've got the feds going into Calgary and Edmonton and other small municipalities. I know we're stepping the provincial government for housing money because we've got such a lack of housing. We've got so many houseless people on the streets. We've got lack of housing, right? And I'm thinking to myself, where the fuck's all the money that they're getting from cannabis taxation? And so I was talking to the girl that works at my local store, because I'm not going to lie, I use a legal store. It's quite convenient for me to go and, you know, whatever, pick up what I need and go about my day. And because I don't have access to any medical anything around here, and I'm not waiting for mail. I'm just not giving that. I'm not doing it anyway. So I went into the store and I asked him, like, so how does this work, like, with your taxation? So she broke down the taxes for me, and I'm like, I said, so how does this work? Do you send it to the feds, all of it? She goes, oh no. She goes, the PST and the vape, and that's a BC registration, different altogether. We have to apply for a different provincial business license number, PST number, and all that money is collected and sent to the province. And then the GST, which is 5%, they collect, like, you get a GST number when you're a business, and you send that money off to the federal government for GST, right? And I'm thinking to myself, so I started, you know, doing some Google, and we're looking at the numbers and going, 5 years. And here we've got, like, people screaming about deficits, and I'm thinking, where'd the money come for CERB? Because nobody wanted to talk about it then. I mentioned it back during CRB too, and, like, after everybody was, you know, getting their money for CRB, I'm like, yeah, thank a fucking pothead. Where do you think all the extra money came from? Because it's $2.8 billion, right? Like, it's like $300 million a year for each province, plus depending on the store and the sales, right? And never mind the stock market. The stock market, I don't know what the stocks are doing for these companies and stuff, but the stock markets are at the all-time high right now. Like, and the Dow and everything is just up, up, up. Like, it's the best economic, you know, on the stock market right now. I'm thinking, what the fuck's all the tax money? And I sell lottery at this store, and I'm thinking, where's all this money? Where's all this tax money? But again, it goes back to the provinces, because we have jurisdictions of, like, that, you know, a lot of people don't understand that it's not all the federal government. It's not all put on that federal level. What they're doing right now is stepping over, because the provinces, like, you know, Danielle Smith would rather sit with Tucker Carlson tonight, and our premier, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I know BC's opened a bunch more, you know, for university seats for nursing, and they're trying to, you know, recruit doctors. But we've got an NDP government out here, and I'm not really sure, you know, that they're doing such a hopped up job either. But when you've got 3,000 stores in one province, and then, like Al said, in BC, we've got the province that also owns stores, never mind the private stores. In Ontario, the government owns those stores. So the province of Ontario is collecting all that money, plus owning the store, so collecting the profit off the sales of that, plus the taxes.
Ontario stores are all privately owned. They're not.
But again, they're still collecting money,
the
right?
Product, the distribution of all the product comes through the OCS.
Right.
The OCS is the most profitable company when it comes to cannabis in all of Canada. They made like $250 million last year.
Right. So again, when we've got everybody homeless, houseless, we've got issues with healthcare. You know, we've got, you know, everybody screaming about our public healthcare systems lacking funding, and we've got military that needs funding, and we've got all these social programs that we all desperately rely on, no matter how you slice it. Where the fuck's the money? So that's why I'm asking. That's why I'm saying to everybody, write your MLAs, because this is, like I said, this is not a federal thing. This got fuck all to do with as much as you. I don't care if you fucking like him, hate him. I don't give a fuck about this. It's got nothing to do with the federal government. This has got everything to do because the federal government handed it down to the provinces. It's provincial jurisdiction. Start asking these premiers, where the fuck's the money? Why are you guys sitting there screaming about we need more money from Trudeau? Why? You got lottery, you got tobacco, you got alcohol, and you've got cannabis. All extra taxes being coming in for how long? 5 years for cannabis. Where's the money? So that's, yeah.
Good thinking.
I just.
I'm going to motivate a few people to ask that question out here as well.
It's annoying.
You guys are actually probably pretty close. You're probably only a few hours apart from each other. You're in the same province.
I'm in the East Kootenays.
Oh, are you? Whereabouts?
I'm in Cranbrook.
Oh, that's funny,
right?
My show was up in Slocan. When Gene and I were growing up there, we were in Slocan.
I know where. Yeah, I know where that is. But yeah, no, I'm in Cranbrook. I was born here, so I came back here 10 years ago. So I'm living in my grandparents' house. But yeah, that's where I am, and I've been pushing. I did, like I said, done stuff here too. I did a Kootenay Cannabis Cup here 2 years, and then COVID and whatever. But yeah, no, that's where I am.
I'll have to bug you.
Yeah, for sure. But
you guys see, you're almost neighbors.
Well, yeah, Slocan's about 5 hours away. It's not. It's not close. Because it's up northern, past Nelson, kind of in that area, right? So. But Nelson's it's a boat ride. I love Nelson though. Nelson's nice to go and visit. But
yeah, I go up to Nelson. I go into Slocan, and a few places all through there. When I had the motorcycle, I went all through there. But
right, yeah, that's beautiful over here for sure. Al, you'll just have to come out and visit one time.
I've never been to BC.
See, you're gonna have to.
Never. The furthest west I've been was to Calgary, and that was when I was 18. And I wasn't there for very long.
Calgary's okay.
I was only there for like 12 hours and then turned around and drove back home.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I went there for what I needed and got what I needed and come home.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about the destination, my friend. It's always about the journey.
But I mean, like, everybody kind of forgets about the fact that there is like other people in British Columbia besides at the coast, right? And that's why I keep yeah, like when I started in Lethbridge, right? Like I did the first Globe Marijuana marches in Alberta, and then I moved out here. Well, I moved to Coronation, but then I moved out here, and I said, I haven't stopped, right? But yeah, I was out in Toronto for TY a few years. Went to Ottawa protest. I've done a few things over the years, but yeah, people forget there's the rest of us. Like over here, we're not at the coast. We're 12 hours from the coast. And
there's a whole world of cannabis in the Kootenays that
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like one of the growers, like actually we got Dicard Pharmaceutical here, which I guess they're going tits up. They've got some psilocybin disease running through their plants, and they can't seem to get it's aeroponic, and they can't seem to get it out of the lines. So they're
is it that disease that affects the roots, and because it affects the roots, it gets all through the whole plant, and it down in the U.S., it's just taken over all kinds of.
It's called psilocybin or something like that.
Yeah,
psilocybin. I think that's what she said anyway. Because one of the girls I know.
Aeroponics, it'll just spread.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. So they're trying. There's no recouping from that. So it's all through the lines and it's all through the building, and so they're apparently shutting down in March. Now, one of the micros I know, he's working. He's in Marysville, like just outside of Kimberley, out here too. And him and his wife come into the store too. When I was working at Top Crop, they came in and would buy stuff from the hydro section too. So there's quite a few growers just in my area too. Like, I mean, I just don't have the power, but I miss growing. I miss my garden a lot. It's just, power.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the power. I have a 60-amp power in this old shack.
Oh, yeah. Ooh,
right? That's what stops me is, upgrading the power that's going to cost me like, $20,000 that I don't have.
Yeah, 60-amp service just doesn't cut it, does it?
No, I would plug one. Well, I did do that one, four with under those LEDs, right? I had that one 400 watt, but as soon as I put the 400 on, the heat would pop up. I get I get mites and shit going on. So I turned the 400 off, run an LED. But the LEDs I had were just cheap crap, and it just isn't.
Yeah, it makes it not worth it.
And I only had 4 because I haven't had a license. Since legalization, when my doctor told me that she wasn't going to sign my licensing for me anymore because I could go to a store and get 30 grams from the store any day of the week. Why would she prescribe me 15 a day? I just, all right.
Yeah. It's like,
okay.
Why should I sign a prescription for your medical cannabis when you just go to the store and buy it?
Yeah.
Well, you know what my answer to that was? I need oil, and it takes way more cannabis than I'm allowed to buy to make that oil.
Well, we had that conversation too, and then she went and talked to the owner of the clinic, and the doctor said, "No, we're not doing that." And the College of Physicians, you know that. I'm sure you're well aware of that. Like, it's not like none of us are unaware that the College of Physicians have been blocking the program forever. And and Ken Brown said, "No, we're not signing. We just know." So it took me 9 months to talk her into signing me an Alvin to begin with. And then we went for our renewals. That's what we got. It was like, sorry.
Yeah, the fight just gets too tiring.
So I just went, okay. Well, I got an LP license after that from whatever, a free one. And they would only sign me for 7 grams because they were worried about the affordability. Like, how are you going to be able to afford, how are you affording? What do you do for work? Like, none of your fucking business what I do for work. Don't worry about how I'm affording my 7 grams a day or my 15 grams a day. Like, they were gonna cut me back to 7 grams a day because of affordability. They wouldn't sign me for 15. So I got the 7 grams a day just to kind of cover it, and then it was like, and I was hooked up with Canamart back then, so you could buy from several different providers at a time. And I think I bought one purchase from them and went, fuck this, and then went to the store. Which was 2 blocks away. You know what I mean? I got a store 2 blocks here, 2 blocks there, 2. I'm going to sit here and have to pay shipping and all this stupidity. Like, fuck that noise.
Some people go to no different. They should be, if a doctor is treating a patient with cannabis, it's no different than if they're treating them for any other prescription. They're there to,
Yeah, it's just
guidance.
Well, that's the thing. I've been listening to you talk about all the stuff that you've got. Like, how does that coincide with, say, somebody like myself who takes methotrexate, right? Or like an attention deficit medication. Like, and the thing of it is, like, I just got myself to the point where I feel like I am normal because I was not taking, and I tried a lot of other stuff over the years, and cannabis just wasn't enough. And then I finally got that attention deficit PTSD, which I'm seeking trauma therapy besides medication. I don't have medication for the PTSD. I just have Adderall for the ADHD on a very low basis, right? How does that affect with the mushrooms and the your blends? Like, how would that interact?
Any of the non-psychedelic stuff all works within that. There's not a problem with any of that.
That's
where that comes into play is just have to basically do the research, utilizing the amount of what's being used, and then getting your dosage. A lot of people that are on various meds for those same type of ideas, they'll utilize this product at the same time, but you have to really be aware of dose, and you always have to go less is more.
Well, I would rather do a natural form plus, like, and not have to up my Adderall. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, or have to do any more methotrexate or anything.
You should mention, Steve, that before, for example, when you got a hold of me, basically you asked me my medical history and what prescription drugs I was on.
Yes, I before I make any recommendations, I'm actually pretty thorough, because I not just myself, but my other buddy ceased it with a lot of the other medications. We both independently go through all of the cross actions of every ingredient that we're going to recommend with what you've got, and then we meet together and go through that again, and then we go with, if we were to go through everything and then go, okay, well, with what your dose is at and how many times a day you're doing it, the recommendation would be, first, get your immune system built, because the stuff that can build that isn't the psychedelic stuff anyway, or the stuff that's going to interact.
That's already the issue, right? I've already got an overactive immune system, and why I'm taking the methotrexate is to bonk that out completely, right?
Okay, when I use the wrong words, to modulate the immune system. Okay. Because what this does, yes, it compresses. It compresses all of your peaks, whether they're high or low. If there's stuff that it's not doing, it brings it up. If there's stuff that's doing too much of it, brings it down. It fits that into play. And then once it's into play, it'll boost your immune system, especially if you add in things like the greens, the berries, and the super C veg. But what it's doing when it's boosting, then there's no spiking. It's boosting the whole gamut, the strength of what it can battle. Because to beat cancer, you have to have a super strong immune system.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To beat arthritis, inflammation, it doesn't have to be as strong as fighting cancer. So you can go lower doses and stuff and find in there. But it's still the immune system. So if a person is willing to take on the protocol of fighting cancer, they'll pretty much get rid of everything. Anybody that's come to me that has had cancer, because cancer, most people think cancer is the problem. Cancer is a symptom of a problem. You get cancer because you're unhealthy. You have something toxic in your system creating cancer. You need to get rid of the toxic part of the system, because even if I give you all of these supplements and you pound that cannabis oil, when you stop doing all of that, you'll get your cancer back, because you haven't got rid of the reason you're getting the cancer. Cancer is a toxic environment, be it coming in here, coming through your skin, breathing it in. There's some, and most of it is through the central nervous system. So, it beats the crap out of stuff. As you get the gut repaired and the immune system modulated and boosted, everything else comes into the play. The body knows how to heal anything. But what are you giving it? Cheeseburgers and milkshakes? Or are you giving it the nutrients it requires to get rid of those particular things? You said, I went through the ingredients on the Inflammaclear, and everything in there has something to do. Yes.
Yeah.
All the ingredients that have anything to do with any ailment you have. And you can put all those things together yourself.
Yeah.
Right? It's the data is there. It's how hard are you going to look? And do you need somebody to teach you how to look to find the data? Because the data is not just sitting there in the wide open either.
No,
if it was, everybody'd be doing that, right?
You gotta know to go look for it. Because if I hadn't looked up any of those ingredients to find out that they help as an anti-inflammatory.
So when you looked them up, did you look up as an anti-inflammatory, or did you look up for Crohn's as well?
Oh, I just looked up that word, the ingredient itself, and found out what the benefits was for that ingredient. I didn't relate it to Crohn's or anything. I just
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because what you can do is when you put in the ingredient, if you go published or published study or peer review, 80% of what you will get up will actually be filed documents, medical and scientific documents of what they do.
It was some
rather
people
than
would
just
probably
talking heads blabbing.
Yeah. Some people would think it was just boring reading. Yeah.
Well,
And
yes,
that's
but
the thing.
more healing comes most from having hope and belief you can heal. And sometimes just seeing 60 different published studies that all say it's possible to heal on a medical page, even though you can't read them, gives you that spark of hope. Oh my God, the medical industry says that it's possible. Now you'll believe it's possible.
Hang on, sorry.
Yeah, because you're seeing all those numbers of studies, and they're all positive studies. That gives you hope that they've done all this research. If you're really interested in it beyond that, you'll click on those studies and you'll read it, and you won't worry about it being sort of,
well, that's the thing.
Well,
all the information is there for everything, right? Like, it doesn't, like, that's what the beauty of the internet is. Like, if you really want to find out the truth, it's there.
But I got to tell you, the last 5 years, they've spent a lot of time throwing mud, because stuff that I used to be able to bring up for people like this, now it'll take me 20 minutes to find it. And I got to go through all sorts of hoops and loops to use the exact wording to find that same thing that the wording I used to use no longer works for.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They just muddied the waters. So a lot of people get frustrated when they go to search, and then they just stop.
When you do a search for a word and you see 10,000 different things come up, you go, oh.
Yeah.
You got a lot of pages to go through.
I think it's not that they're muddied. I think that there's been so much more information over the last 5 years generated to add to, so things get dropped down to the bottom. Like, there was a time when you could Google some of our names and we'd be at the top of the page and it would come up for cannabis news and stuff. Now it doesn't, because there's so many other people that have come up behind us that have done this stuff so that it shows newer things, right? So it's not showing 2019 anymore; it's showing 2023. So so that's I think it's just that we get bumped down because we're old news.
I would think it depends on the search engine that you're using too.
Right. But yeah, I think there's just so much more information being brought, because we're evolving so quickly. Like, archaeology, they're digging new things up. There's technology and all these things, like new information being added every day.
Oh yeah, with the quantum computers able to process so much more faster, the science
I was watching
like crazy.
Artificial intelligence, and they were asking these AIs if they could be trusted, and the AI said nobody can be trusted. Trust has to be earned, and it was a fucking walking, talking, fucking artificially intelligent thing walking around on TV. She goes, no, trust has to be earned, and I'm like, the fuck.
But that's true.
But no, they're not supposed. They're not. How can an artificial intelligence have an emotion to be able to say trust must be earned? Like, that's an emotion, not
no emotion to
right. Weird.
All right, you two. I see we're already past our time, which I knew was going to happen.
Thanks for having me. This was awesome.
Oh, no problem. Hey, enjoy having you come on to the broadcast. And it's always good. Cannabis is one of many things that can help and heal people. You've got your line of products there of all natural supplements, and like we never even got into the psychedelic end of things. So
yeah,
that's a whole different show, right?
Maybe next week. What do we got lined up for next week?
And you've been helping people with addiction issues.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So there's all that to all discuss those. That's why I said that, after the first hour that we're going to have you come back, because I knew we weren't going to get into everything. So
yeah. And the fact that I just babbled, so it's like, there he goes. He's running down to a left turn.
That's okay. That's education getting out there, and that's a good thing. That's what we're here for.
That's right. Exactly. And long answers are better than yes. No.
Yeah, that's true.
You're always doing a show.
Now literally like yank the questions out of somebody or the answers, right? So how long you been smoking, cannabis? A while. Like
and
you're waiting for more. Come on.
yeah.
Yeah, like we didn't get into the documentary you were involved in or anything, so
we didn't get into the puppy power stuff that I got for my beautiful 18-and-a-half-year-old Dutch Shepherd Mika with those 7 mushrooms in it as well.
Okay, before we go, you got to tell everybody about your dog and what you've done to improve her quality of life.
I have an 18-year-old Dutch Shepherd. Her name is Mika. At 16, we thought she'd had a stroke and we were going to have to put her down. We found out she has an inner ear disorder that mimics a stroke. And she wasn't able to get up. And I was talking to a friend of mine. He said, well, give her some of your CBD. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, give her CBD. If it's that, it's a nervous disorder. CBD works for nervous disorders. Give her some. I said, well, how much should I give her? Now, I'd already called the company to come and put her down, and they were going to be showing up in a couple of days. And he said, well, you're going to kill her. Give her whatever you're fucking taking. What does it matter? And I was like, oh, okay. So I did. I gave her 1 ml of 1,000 milligram CBD, so 33 milligrams of CBD with MCT oil. And I gave it to her 3 times a day. And she was moving a bit more, but she still hadn't gotten up. And the morning before they showed up, you have 24 hours to cancel. And the morning before they show up, I wake up and she's standing at the door. So I go and let her out. And she goes outside and she's shaky as all get out. She pees and I grab the phone right away. And I phone them. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I got to cancel. She got up. She made it to the door. I have no idea how many days I'm going to get, but I'm taking anything I can.
Right on.
And I continue to give it to her. She's getting better. And I go, if that fucking works, and that works with cancer patients, did they test the mushrooms on dogs? And I looked it up and they did. And it does the same shit for dogs. So I put the blend together for Mika. And then John had a dog at the time. And he was like, my dog won't really eat it. Can you do something for more flavor? So I added in freeze-dried powdered liver. And at the time I was buying, what is the name of it? It was a product for arthritis in the joints for her.
Glycine.
And basically it was glucosamine, chondroitin, and MSM.
Right.
So instead of paying $40 for a little bottle, I bought it in bulk and I added it into the powder. And this is, well, she's 18 and a half now. We walk 5 kilometers. When we go to the dog park, it's a 5-kilometer walk. Yeah. She still tries to run with other dogs. It's please don't, because you're going to hurt like hell the next day.
And you post pictures of her walking on the beach all the time. And
oh yeah, when I'm out there, I got a little Instagram channel. It's got more of her than me on it. And the dogs, like I've got dogs that they've been using this in the CBD and they're reversing cancer. I'm watching miracles happen, and all I ever say is thank you. My motivation is right. The stuff I do for drug people, the stuff I do for dogs, it's all involved with family. PTSD, it's me.
This is a 15-year-old Chihuahua. This one here. So
oh, look at you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to send you some of this too.
Yeah, because she's like got no teeth. She's got no teeth. She's not in bad shape. I do have other others. They do take CBD. Not like they do on a regular, because I mean, which is great. But it's all been because I've had other people send like CBD to me too, because I got a friend that makes up. I'd like to try other stuff too, especially when it's combined, because this is just a CBD, right? Yeah.
Naked drops.
Yeah. See, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's the puppy on the label.
Yeah. So yeah, CBDs are something that, but again, like she's got a heart murmur that they told me to give her this $50 a week medicine for at the vet, and so I started giving it to her. She never coughed before, then she started coughing. I'm like, you weren't coughing before with your stage 3 heart murmur that you never had before, but you're 14, okay, I'll give you have a heart murmur now. And then start coughing after me spending $500, like after 5 weeks of me going into the vet every week and picking up this medicine for her at $50 a week, and she's coughing away. And then I took it off. I'm not giving this to her. She's gonna die of a heart murmur. I'm not gonna make her like cough and hack and be taking up this shit that she was and kept this and start giving her CBDs. She's not coughing, and she's still right. So, yeah.
Oh, you wait till round 2. You wait. I've had people their dogs. The one lady down the road here, she's got a little terrier, and she'd pick the dog up and put it on her bed, and the dog would sleep with her. It's like a 15-year-old little terrier. She was talking to the neighbor about how it was getting real slow, and so we brought up this stuff,
right?
And a week later, I had to get a leash. He has to go on a leash on the bed because now he's jumping off the bed at night and running around.
Right? Like it's really good. Like I will vouch for the CBDs, and like I would love to try your stuff because I said I got her and I got another 14-year-old. Like he's white too. He's around here somewhere. He's not on the bed right now, but I've got there's 12 of them here.
Okay, well we'll get your address and I'll send you off a couple of these. And
right on.
All right, we'll get that. We'll look after that once we're off the air.
Yeah.
I got one thing to say to you. A news story we did last week. They're giving psilocybin to zebrafish. Do you know what zebrafish are? Zebrafish is a class of a minnow. They're giving them psilocybin to minnows because minnows are 70% similar to humans, and they are seeing how it's dealing with anxiety and stress in the minnows. Check it. Look it up. Zebrafish and
how much money got invested into that? I got a fucking fish tank.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Some psycho cichlids in there, like.
I couldn't believe that they bath them in it. That's how they get it to take it. They intake it. That's the way I read it. I'll send you the link. I'd say it's probably synthetic. Psilocybin is what it is.
So we puts the goldfish in here, and you guys give us $480,000, and we're doing this study. We're going to see if the fish likes the mushrooms.
Yeah, they
How
are.
do we get a piece of that?
It was pretty cool. We had the story. We were going, what? All right, we got to go. So Steve, where can everybody find your stuff? I know it's there on your screen, but still.
www.at-ease.com or ateze.ca. All in one. I've also got that one. But this is the one where you get the story of John and I. You get the snippets of us in the documentary. We were in that documentary, Psychedelic Frontier. And
right.
And,
which we didn't get to. That's on the list of not getting to.
Yeah. Right. And I've got, you can find me at Mushy Moment, both on Pace Radio, on CBG TV, on Facebook. We've got the Mushy Moment page.
Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, that's our podcast on there. We also share a lot of documentation on there as well. And then I've got a group on Facebook, microdosing, macrodosing, adaptogens, and nootropics. And you can find me there. And there's tons of info on all of the stuff. And I'm waiting. I've got a book that's being edited called The Macro Book of Microdosing, Everything I Ever Wished I Knew About Microdosing. And I'm hoping that the editor gets through it soon because I'd like to release it soon. I'm anxious now. But I'll be releasing that book. And then I'm hopefully putting a program together for veterans and first responders.
Nice.
So that we can supply some microdoses, supply them the book, a microdose, do a classroom for them, make them feel safe, let them do it, and learn what they're in for, and then hopefully change a few lives.
Yeah.
There was a place in Lethbridge that was doing that. I'm not sure that they're still doing it. It was like a clinic where you could go into and actually like have a session with with taking peyote and LSD and mushrooms and all kinds of things. I'm not sure it's still there. I'll check it out.
And there's all kinds of like things that coming up in the news all the time about LSD. And, you know, at one time it was ecstasy, but now it's MDMA, and
That's the one. Yeah,
it's pretty wild. Stuff is coming
Well,
out.
they all speak different languages, and as a guy that's actually used a multitude number of them, actually more in the healing purpose end, I've got to say they all speak different languages, and because everybody is unique in their own way, it's a good thing there's a few different types out there, because you know, so much healing is needed right at this time. It's there's a lot of hurting people.
Yeah. All righty. We got the website out, all that stuff. Okay. Other than that, Tamara and I will be back next week with our special guest. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on the net at paceradio.net. Thank you. Go to our sponsors, the friendly and helpful folks at 420.com, Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, Limestone City Hydroponics. .ca as well. You find them in Kingston, and they can do some deliveries as well. Other than that, thanks, Tamara, and
but wait, I gotta go. Legacy 420 out on York Road.
Love it. That's the best.
I absolutely love. I sing along with them at every app.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you for having me on. You guys are awesome.
Thanks for coming on.
Welcome. Thanks for coming on, Steve. Very knowledgeable, which is always very helpful for everybody. So, other than that, thanks to our listeners for tuning in and watching the program or listening later on the radio podcast. We really appreciate you doing so. Other than that, we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.